Hello and welcome back to Cage Side Press. I'm Patrick McCorry and I am joined by brave bantamweight champion Jose Shorty Torres. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I can't complain. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. Let's talk before we get on to the Nkosi rematch. I want to talk about the importance of an amateur career for a fighter. We've seen it now more in recent years, with I think one of the bigger examples now is Muhammad Makayev in the UFC.
hmm
And yourself as well, two-time IMMAF champion. Like, how important is it for fighters to have a lengthy amateur career before then going on to a lengthy pro career?
Well, I mean, I think the best examples before, Mokaev and myself are boxing. And boxers, Lomachenko, Triple G, De La Hoya, all these guys had hundreds of matches. And then you look at their professional careers and they become some of the best in the world, if not future Hall of Famers. So um, I kind of followed suit in that. But given MMA, it's just a different sport. When I first started, people were not even getting amateur careers; they were just going pro. And then when I started, they were maybe going 5 fights and then going pro. My coach was like, "No, you have to at least minimum get 20 fights." And then we're also going to do other sports, kickboxing, Muay Thai, judo tournaments, jiu-jitsu tournaments, all that stuff, because this is MMA, it's mixed martial arts. You have to do everything. I also wrestled in college, so having all these accolades before I turned pro helped me not just win worlds, because at worlds you don't know who you're fighting. You can't game plan like a professional. You can't game plan of like, oh hey, I'm fighting this guy in a month. This is the film I found on YouTube and let's break things down. No, you're fighting whoever they tell you you're going to fight the next day. So you have to be ready for everything. And I think the amateur career really helped me do that by the time I got to the world championships for the IMF. And then when I did go pro, because of my vast amateur career, I was able to fight higher level guys much faster and move up in the ranks much faster. I mean, I won my first world championship for Titan FC at 3-0. I was like, yo, this is unheard of. And then doing all the different accolades and then making it to the UFC and then now being the brave bantamweight champion, it's helped me defeat and overcome a lot of different obstacles.
And you became brave champion against a man called Nkosi Ndebele. And it was a very close fight. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
fans, a lot of media and a lot of fans have different scorecards. And Nkosi himself definitely has a different scorecard, right? He's calling you a fake champion and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of him calling you a fake champion and what do you think of just that fight altogether that you guys had?
I mean, I thought the scorecards were very different. That's why I stayed very calm on the cage. But I do understand that there's cage control, but with no damage. I'm like, what's this really matter? Especially when you haven't put me in danger. One shot that did land was, or one significant shot that did land was the one that did cut me under my chin, which we were all like, who's bleeding? But the fact was, I was never in trouble in the fight. I know for sure the last 3 rounds I was extremely dominant, and hey, they saw it as a split decision. I mean, two judges, one judge had it 4-1, the other judge had it 3-2, and then the other judge saw it 3-2 for Nkosi. Okay, cool, but the fact is, I got my job done, and for Nkosi calling me a fake champion, he can call me whatever he wants. I still have the belt with me, and it doesn't matter. My job, I succeeded. I did what I went there to do. He failed. So don't blame me. Don't blame the judges. You made it so close that it became controversial and it worked on my favor, not yours. Don't blame me. Blame yourself. So lucky for him, he does get a rematch and it's not my choice. I'm not saying that I'm like, oh no, I don't want to fight him. I already beat him. There's no benefit of me beating a guy I already beat again. So me, I'm just doing what Brave tells me. I'm ready to fight as a champion and defend whoever's at the top of the mountain. And if it's Nkosi again, it's Nkosi again. If it's somebody else, then it's somebody else. I get paid the same no matter who I fight. So in all technicality, I'd rather fight the guy that I've already beat once and I know he's going to do against me. But in this sport, it's extremely rare to get a rematch. Just because people go to different promotions, people are at such high levels, this and that, and you can be kicked off top of the mountain very, very fast. But he's coming back, and I'm excited to, put him in his place again. And he can call me fake champion all he wants, but again, he's just gonna still have to blame himself.
And on your end, is there any bad blood or animosity? I know there is on his end, but do you have any bad blood or anything towards him?
No, no, I mean, why would I be mad? I came home with a belt. For me, it's like, all right, cool, I did my job. Like, hey, man, you're, better than I expected. Happy for you. That's awesome. Thank you for a tougher matchup than I expected. And, we go from there. So for me, having to fight him again December 15th at Bahrain, which I call like my second home. I'm really excited about. It's just another fight to me. For him, he needs to not just prove everything, to the world, but really to himself. He's like, oh, Shorty's a fake champion. This, that, I won. You went home with no belt. You went home empty-handed. Okay, well then, it's your job to prove it, and it's my job to do what I did the same thing again. And history does repeat itself. We'll see if it does the same.
And when it comes to training for a guy that you already fought, let alone beat, is it easier to game plan for that you have the 25 minutes experience with him?
It definitely is better to game plan with that. 25 minutes is a long time, especially in Bogota. That was, I think, 11,000 kilometers high, on altitude, if not a little higher, 2 miles high here in the States. And it was a lot. But I think for us going back and forth, there's only so much we can improve, a few months later. So it's honestly facing the same exact guy with just little things here and there. But after the fight keeps on, you know, um, as it continues on, you're going to go back to what, you're best at. And he tried what he tried. And I think it's going to be, again, I think history is going to repeat itself. If this was a fight maybe a year, 2 years later, I can expect a completely different Nkosi. But a few months later, I don't see it changing that much. And I see him ultimately doing the same thing he did in the last fight of trying to keep distance. He tires out. He's just going to hold me. And that's pretty much about it. So for me, it's easier to game plan. I'm definitely not as I wouldn't say as worried, but I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. I know what he's gonna do. I'm having a lot more fun in practice because I'm not going, hey, I need these specific training partners to get ready for this fight. It's not that I'm taking them lightly. I just know what he's gonna do, and I'm excited for it. So I'm ready for it. I'm better prepared mentally and physically. I'm close to 100% as I can be because every training camp has its fair share of injuries, sadly. But overall, man, I feel good, and I'm excited to do the same thing, and hear the words "and still" after.
And you've been training at Couture, man. Like that
Hmm.
gym this year it's been a crazy year. I think, with Sean Strickland winning the title, Francis Ngannou having his boxing fight and doing so well against Tyson Fury. What has it been like being in that gym and seeing kind of the way this gym is growing?
Yeah, I talk really highly about the gym because everyone comes in there, personally. Everyone goes in there doing their own thing. They go without their coach. They go, trying to accomplish whatever goals, and then you have no choice but to create bonds because that's how you're going to form, in a sense, smaller niches, smaller teams. And I mean, it was actually really funny. Tuesdays are big sparring day, and I'm sparring with Menel Cape. I believe he's top five in the UFC.
Hmm.
Him and I are having a good time. And we look over and Sean Strickland is watching us. And he's just like, yeah, man, these are awesome rounds because both Manel Cape counter each other very, very well. So we're going back and forth having a great time. And I was like, did we look cool? He goes, dude, you guys looked awesome. I was like, that's all that matters. I don't even care if I won the round or not. As long as I look cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's like it's all that matters, social media. But nah, man, it was just a lot of fun. The high level guys that I get to go with, like I was training with Patchy who fights Sergio Pettis this weekend for Bellator. Um, just to be able to go back and forth with these high level guys and get their words of advice as well. It's like, man, I'm in this realm and I get to share the cage with them and also help them. Like every, I think 2 days a week, Cody Garbrandt, former bantamweight champion for the UFC, has been
Yeah.
calling me. He's like, hey man, I have a fight the day after you. Do you want to spar? I have a couple of rounds. I'm like, yeah, of course. But I'm not going to say no to that. So I've been going with really, really high level guys that have, in a sense, definitely more professional experience than me when it comes to higher level opponents as well. So it's like, this is the mindset I want to obtain. I want to see the skills you bring, especially with my fighting style, pressure fighting and this and that. I want to see how you counter me. I want to see how you take advantage of certain things and just how you manipulate the game in this chess match. And man, it's been a lot of fun. Extreme Couture has been one of those gyms that everyone goes in there with a good vibe, but also going, hey, we're here to work. And I've made a lot of really good lifelong connections with people that are like, hey, I know I'm going to try to help some people that are the Mexicans here, and there's a bunch of little cliques. There's a group called the Mexicans. I'm like, yo, I'm half Mexican, half Puerto Rican. So I was like, wait, what do you need? They're like, oh, I might be fighting this event in Mexico. Can you call? I was like, dude, I'll be in Mexico all in January for you. So there's been a lot of really good connections, and I made a lot of good friends, and I'm excited to, you know, after no matter what happens in this fight, come on back and keep on training here.
And how much of an advantage do you think it is to have these bodies in the gym, fighting, or yeah, I say fighting, but like, training and fighting against the best fighters in the world. Manel Kape, he's one of the top UFC flyweights. You mentioned Sean Strickland. I know you probably won't be sparring with him. I think he's a decent bit bigger than you,
He's
but
ducking me, man. He's ducking me. No.
but training with these guys, man, how much of an advantage is it? And like in the back of your head, like it must build confidence, right? That, hey, I'm able to hang and not just hang, even like, win some of these rounds against these top fighters in the UFC that everyone sees.
Well, the crazy thing is, and a lot of my friends that are not at that like UFC level, and then some that are, they're like, man, I've seen you go with all the top flyweights in the UFC. I've seen you go with all the top bantamweights in UFC, and then same with Bellator, and then other promotions as well. And they're like, I've gotten the short end of the stick in a lot of events in my career. So for me, they're just like, I see you going back and forth and winning some of these rounds and doing this. I'm like, yeah, no, I know how good I am. I'm just, not able to fight these guys that I'm able to train with, which again, it's all business, nothing personal. But to be able to go back and forth or even, win some of these rounds or even lose some of these rounds, it really is a huge confidence booster because what do they say? If you don't believe in yourself, then no one else will. For me, I know I am one of the best in the world. If I show up, man, I can beat anybody and I can dominate anybody. So being able to go in there and not just help these guys, but sometimes go back and forth and even win these rounds and have these guys want to come back to help me for my fights. It's like, man, this is awesome because I see you on TV here in the States. I see you fighting around the world. I see you making this much money for these fights. Like this is the goal that I want to obtain. I'm doing that right now for Brave, and I feel good to say I'm a world champion again, and I want to keep on claiming belts. So being able to go back and forth with these guys, like that's one huge advantage I have over Nkosi is I've been able to train with some of the best in the world. There's a reason why, I've always been ranked so high, not just as an amateur, but as a pro. I mean, I used to help DJ Dillashaw in his training camps. I was at Jackson Wink helping John Dodson and Cup Swanson. I was down at American Top Team, helping Pantoja inevitably be a future world champ. Hell, I was helping Brandon Moreno when he first entered the UFC to get his mindset right to go, cool, I can be a champion one day. I just have to get to that point. So being able to go to all these guys, it's been a lot of fun. And I know how good I am, and Brave allows me to show my skill to go, hey, I'm a world champion again, and it doesn't just prove it to the world, but it proves it to me as well.
And have you had any guys in the gym being able to kind of replicate Nkosi for you? You've seen him, you've felt his strength, you've seen what he's like in the cage. Have you been able to find any partners that can replicate him?
Yeah, actually, my roommate here, Joshua Augustine, I believe he's 7-3 now as a pro, and we actually just came back from St. Louis. So shout out to him. He just won a great fight. But he is 6 feet tall, so a little taller than Nkosi Ndebele. He throws teeps just like him because I remember he watched my fight, and then I came back and he started throwing teeps against me. I was like, hey, this is not really typically your style. You're more of a boxer, a very long boxer. And he goes, yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. I watched the fight. I just saw how effective it was, keeping you away because you're so aggressive coming forward. I was like, yeah. I mean, I would take the notes too. Hell yeah. And then so he just started doing that against me when I got back. He goes, I know what your opponent does. Cool, let's do this. I'm taller. I'm a little longer. Let's figure this out. Let's help you out. And he's also a little bigger. So when it comes to trying to take him down or even trying to, throw him around or even trying to close the distance, like it becomes a little difficult. So I'm really happy to have him here. Um, and there's been a bunch of guys. I mean, Patchy mix as well. Even on the feet, he's just as long, but even scarier on the ground because that guy, once he grabs you in a guillotine, like it's a very very scary thing. I can tell you this, Patchy mix is probably one of the scariest guys I've gone with on the ground. Where you're like, I don't know if you roll, I don't know if you train, but the fact is, we kind of know levels and you feel people, and then when they grab you, you're like, oh man, my spider sense is tingling. Like I feel in danger. You're
Yeah.
like, I need to get out. Anytime I grapple Patchy, I'm just like, okay, he has his hands locked. Dude, get the hell out of here because I just feel in danger. I don't know exactly what he's trying to do, but I gotta get out. So I've been going with who I believe higher level guys. And there's plenty more, and I'm just, skimming through. But man, it's when it comes to emulating, it's as close as it possibly can be. It's never the real thing, but that's why I always say I'm ready for anything because hell, you never know. And Kosi might try to be a wrestler for the next fight, So With that being said, I'm ready for anything. I'm very confident. I'm very excited, and I'm getting some really, really good rounds in this camp. I think more than I did the last camp. So I'm really happy to say that.
Uh, Before we move on to more about this fight, I want to ask you, what do you think of Patchy Mix's fight this weekend? How do you think that goes against a very, very good guy and underrated fighter in Sergio Pettis?
The crazy thing is I'm really good friends of both, and that like I'm not just really good friends of both, but I'm also a huge fan. I've trained with them. I've, in a sense, kind of lived with both of them. Both in part of their camps, and man, I remember telling both of them before the fight, and I'm very realistic. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anybody to make them feel better. I was like, Patchy, you're much. I wouldn't say you're much better, but you're better on the ground. And then Sergio, he's better on the feet. I'm telling you, Patchy's very underrated on the feet. He's been knocking people out. Rafian Stotts' last fight with that knee and doing all these other things, especially after his loss against Juan Archuleta. He's kind of like, all right, these are the things I need to work on. All right, cool, I'm going to push through. But I think they're both a little bit better at certain areas where, again, Patchy's better on the ground a little bit. And then Sergio's better on this, but it depends on who can implement their game better and even faster. I think Patchy's better in the earlier rounds because he's so explosive, he's so strong, especially with his jiu-jitsu. But Sergio is a little more calmer, a little more methodical, and I think he could last in the later rounds. So I think if it's the first two and a half, that's Patchy all the way. If it's the last two and a half, it's Sergio all the way. And I think that part is a huge, or at least a bigger edge in their skill. But they're both a little bit better at the other side. So it's whoever can implement their game better. I just know that Sergio, if he goes to the ground, he's very underrated jiu-jitsu, by the way. I think if he goes to the ground, he's smart enough to survive. Um, and I think same thing with Patchy Mix. Like, Sergio's good enough on the ground not to survive, or excuse me, to survive but not be able to get up. And Patchy Mix might take some shots, but he's smart enough not to get too mad and just rush forward and do all these, bad things that can get him in trouble. So I think this was a chess match, man, but I don't see it going 5 rounds.
I'm very, very excited for the fight. It's one of those things like living in Europe for fights, I have to sit up late quite a lot. And
Mhm.
like for example, for a UFC pay-per-view, I'm up until 7 a.m. Um, but
Committed.
it's committed and sometimes maybe a little bit stupid. But that's one of those fights that I would sit up until 10 a.m. for, and ruin my next day. That's a fight that no matter what, I'm going to be sitting up for. I can't wait for it. Um, Getting back to you, man. We're a month out from the fight, about to the date, actually. The 15th of December is when your fight is. Have you started the weight cut process? What's kind of, how's your nutrition and getting down to the weight?
Yeah, it was funny because last week, I would check my weight, but it was never anything too serious. And a lot of the guys here were like, dude, you like even bantamweights are like, hey man, you feel strong. Like the other day, um, I had to roll around with Jeremy Kennedy. And Jeremy Kennedy is a flyweight, but he's just getting back to it. So he looks like he's, a welterweight and he's just gigantic right now. And they're like, Shorty, you're the biggest of the small guys. You're gonna have to go with Jeremy. And I'm like, am I really that? Am I really that big? Is this? Oh man, thank you guys. I really needed to hear that today. Thank you. I guess I got to get up and go run. And then I went with Jeremy Kennedy. I was like, oh my gosh, you are so much stronger and bigger. Like that's when you start to really notice sizes of difference. Like, oh my god, okay, this is not like you ever roll around and you're like, yeah, I got the move, and they just push you off, and you're like, oh, that was a waste of time. Okay, that was stupid. So I started to work on weight this week. Started the week was 5 weeks out, and I'm at where I usually am at, about 20 pounds over, give or take. Um, so being a month out with 20 pounds over, I usually try to get down to 12 over fight week. So what is that, like 4 to 4.5, 5 kilo?
Yeah.
And I mean, overall, I feel good. I'm leaning out really well. Um, and it's just been a very, very fun camp to where I haven't, and the benefit about being bantamweight is I don't really have to stress about, my weight. When I was at flyweight, if I didn't hit a certain goal every single day, I would like stress myself out, freak out that I'm hurting myself to get even lower, and then I'm also physically hurting my body. Um, because my ligaments are tearing because I'm overworking and my muscles are cramping up much faster. And it's like 3 weeks before the fight. It's like, dude, what are you doing? So another reason why I had to bump up to bantamweight, I feel happy, I feel more comfortable. And even if I was 20 pounds over 10 days out, I can make the weight. It would suck, but I can make the weight. So for me, yeah, I feel good. I'm not too worried about it. I'm just kind of going with the flow. And, there's a UFC event here this weekend. And so I've been helping a lot of fighters as well. So when it comes to that, being able to use a facility, sauna, hot bath, cold bath recovery here, like just being able to take advantage of the recovery options while also losing weight, I feel good. I'm leaning out and I'm happy. So also being the fight being in Bahrain where it's at sea level now, where I don't have to get used to the altitude, my body doesn't have to acclimate too much besides just the time change. Yeah, I'm happy to be like, cool. This makes things a little more comfortable than it usually is. And Bahrain being a second home, I already know what places to go to for stuff. So it makes things a lot easier for this fight.
That's awesome, man. And can we get a prediction from you? Do you see this rematch going the full distance as well?
I think the biggest problem with Nkosi and I is that we both know his manager. We respect each other very much, and I think we took it more as a respectable matchup, almost kind of like a higher level sparring match. And even though I felt too comfortable in the fight, I feel for him that he respected me too much on the feet that he didn't get to open up. And for me, I got too overconfident in certain submissions and I was maybe a little too sympathetic, especially with arm bars and stuff like that, where I have it and it's like, dude, tap, because if not, I'm gonna break your arm. And I'm being too sympathetic in a professional sport where we knock people out and choke them to sleep. So it's like one big thing that I have to give Nkosi a shout out about is during the fight he was grappling with me on the cage, just pushing me up against the fence, and I hear people talking, and I hear him going, just talking to himself like, "I'm gonna be champion, I'm gonna be champion," and I hear him like, "I'm gonna be champion." I'm just like, man, this dude's willing to die. Like that's his mindset. Kind of what could be said about Justin Gaethje. Like I'm not going to break his arm. I have to choke him out because if not, his family's here going to see me break his arm. So for me, if I get put in those positions, sadly, I'm going to have to do what I have to do. And if I have to put him to sleep or choke him or break his arm, put him in those positions again, then I know he's willing to accept the consequences, and I got to do what I got to do because it went to a split decision, because both him and I want to make it, we want to put a stamp on it, we have to put it to a finish. So I don't believe at all it's going to distance. And I believe it's going to be a more higher pace fight, not just because we're at regular altitude, but just we need to put an exclamation point on this. What is it? What do they say? Putting the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And for me, I also personally just I want to not just tell myself because I know how good I am. I want to show the world that there was no controversy in the first fight. So the second fight, there has to be a statement. And, I want to do more things. Maybe one day go to the featherweight division. Maybe one day go back down to the flyweight division. I want to claim more belts, but I got to do a job in front of me. And that's, Nkosi Ndebele. So I have to finish the year strong with a final statement.
Let me ask, man, what's the inspiration behind the purple hair you had in your last fight? But I want to know, you still got it. What's the inspiration behind it?
Oh, my mom was so disappointed. I remember right after the fight, I came back and I re-dyed my hair, and she goes, "You're not fighting. What do we re-dye your hair for?" I was like, "Well, I want to grow my hair longer, and I'm gonna for the fight, I want to have purple braids. Actually, tomorrow I'm gonna braid my hair just to see how it looks in different designs. So I just think it's epic to have purple braids. But for me, two reasons. One, my dad's, one of his favorite colors growing up, or even just his gang colors growing up, were purple and black. And purple is just a color that it's not representing the gang. It's just what, to me, gives an homage to my father. So anytime I see purple or, anything, everything in my life is purple, even my phone, stuff like that. So it just reminds me of my father. And then lastly, the second point is, I don't know if you watch Dragon Ball Z, but um, Vegeta, I always say I'm definitely more like Goku and Gohan, more sympathetic, like to have fun. I enjoy the challenge, and I just want to go against some of the best in the world. There's never anything personal. But with me trying to claim the belt for the third time for Brave, I was like, man, I need to let my ego come out and play. and I did a little bit. I'm still cut. I decided to come on into fight and do all these different things, and I was able to win. But I need to really show my ego for this fight. And Vegeta decided to get a new form in the manga, which hasn't been released in anime yet, called Ultra Ego. So he ends up getting purple hair for his fight. So I was like, yo, if he has purple hair, I have purple hair. It runs in the family, runs in my blood, so I might as well do it and have some fun with it. So that's my inspiration for it.
I'll tell you what, you would be my little brother's favorite fighter because he loves anime and manga. He has all of that kind of stuff. So,
Well, dude, if he ever recommends some good anime, I'm actually in the process of trying to watch a couple more anime because I'm bored on the treadmill.
oh, I'll tell you, he's obsessed with Attack on Titan. I think he's just finished it. So,
Yo, I hear it's really so I've gotten like 4 episodes in, and I'm like, dude, I can't get into it because it starts so slow. People
yeah,
are like, just give it like 10 episodes. I'm like, dude, 10 episodes is like 3 days. Like I got
he
stuff to
loves it.
do.
He's got all the posters and all this stuff. So, I can connect you
Uh,
too. Then he's got Instagram, so I'll connect you too.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, man, anime was my inspiration growing up. I didn't have the best mentors, so TV and anime were just like those are my heroes. I always wanted to be like them.
I love it, man. Let's go into this little last segment I like to do to get to know a fighter and kind of humanize them a little bit. So, what's your favorite movie, man?
Probably Super Bad or Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh, Superbad's a classic. Favorite TV show?
That '70s show.
I know that's sick. Um, favorite song or music artist?
Kanye West, Runaway.
Nice. Favorite fighter or fighter in terms of all the combat sports of all time.
Manny Pacquiao, first ever 8-time world champ or 8 division world champ, moved up from like 100 and something pounds all the way to 150, which is higher than me. And it's phenomenal to see a little guy do his thing, especially where he came from. So for me, I've actually followed him in not just being a multiple division champion, but starting my foundation, trying to give back to my community and just enjoy a fun life where whatever blessings I get to give back like Robin Hood.
I love it, man. And what's your favorite MMA fight of all time?
Ooh, that is a hard one because oh man, I don't really have like favorite MMA fights. I have favorite boxing fights. I think my favorite
Oh,
boxing fight is Manny Pacquiao versus Miguel Cotto because Puerto Rican guys, my two favorite fighters. I think my second favorite is Manny Pacquiao versus Antonio Margarito because it just showed the size difference, and just how much of a chess match it was and one sided really. But I think some of my favorite fights are just brawls, man. Like Justin Gaethje fights, Dustin Poirier fights. People who just decided to stand at hell. Even some Max Holloway fights where he's like, "No, man, let's stand in the center and let's put on a show for the fans. We can use the ground." And I always say I'm a fun size Justin Gaethje. Like I could be an All American wrestler, all that stuff, but no, man, let's put on a show for the fans. And if I really need to, you're just that good. All right, cool. I'll try my best to take you down, submit you, but no, I like to have fun in the center of the cage. So whoever stylistically can do the same, that's what I like to watch.
have you ever had any funny interactions or anything with a fan or a fighter? Any funny stories like that?
I've signed a baby once. Let's see. I've had people tell me that their girlfriend likes me, but like in front of their girlfriend while the boyfriend's telling me this, and I'm like, am I? Wait, am I supposed to flirt back? Am I just laugh and giggle awkwardly and say thank you? Do I give you my number? How does this work? So it's I've had that. I'm trying to think. I've had a lot of people talk smack, but that's just MMA or drunk people, doing whatever they do. But I haven't had anything crazy, crazy, crazy yet. I've had fun stories of MMA fighters that I'm just like, okay, cool, all right, yeah, you do you, man. But overall, man,
Any that you can share about any funny stories with fighters?
I can tell you one of my favorite people, but also scariest is Diego Sanchez. Um, he again, a phenomenal guy. I have nothing against him, but he's a very I wouldn't say egotistical, but he wants to get his job done and he fully believes in himself no matter what. And I remember when I first went down to Jackson Wink in 2016 to train and have some fun. He was kind of still at the prime of his career. He was helping a special needs kid every single day. So like this guy is giving back to everyone. It's awesome. He's wearing my T-shirt that I was selling. I'm like, dude, Diego Sanchez is the man. And I remember one time he took us to this mountain, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do these mountain runs." And all of us, we're low level pros. We're like, "Yeah, we're trying to get in shape. Let's do this mountain run." And it ends up being like this cartoon road where it's just one gigantic street and it's just a hill. And we're like, "Okay, cool. Let's run up it and we're good." He goes, "No, no, you're gonna keep on running until you see the stop sign." We're like, okay, it's literally desert. It's just there's no houses, no anything. I don't know if you ever seen Courage the Cowardly Dog, but like there's maybe that one house and that was it. Like it's just desert and just one super long road. And he's like, "All right, let's go." And he just takes off. He's done this jog plenty of times. And I guess he would always take the lower level guys because they were always so like influenced by him. And so I start running and I'm getting on top of the hill. I was like, "Oh, it's that." It takes us like 10 minutes to get up one hill. And we're like, "Almost done." And then once you get to the top, you look and there's another street, another hill that's even taller. And you're like, "Okay, I don't know where Diego's at, but let's just keep on going." And so you went down, went back up, and literally there was like seven of them like this, and they only got higher. It 100% seemed like a video game or like a cartoon. And then at the end, you just see him at the stop sign. He's like, "Let's go." And you're like, you're dying. It's like 2 hours in already. This is the longest run of your life. You get there and you're like, "Yeah, we made it to the stop sign. Yeah." And then he looks at you just like motivated. He's like, "Yeah, good." Like a just like a David Scoggins, like, "Yeah, that's awesome. You didn't give up. All right, let's go back." And you're like, "There's no one here to pick us up." He goes, "No, come on, let's go." And he just takes off again. And you're just like, so it ends up being like a 4 mile run, or yeah, a 4 hour run because of how high those hills are. And
Oh man.
he's just one of those scary guys that like again the David Scoggins, where he's just like he intimidates you, and if you can't match that energy, you're gonna fold. And I remember one day after practice, like, "All right, who wants to work out with me?" And all the amateurs are like, "Yeah, let's do it." He's doing planks, he's doing push-ups. The next practice was 3 hours later. I went to take a nap in the dorms. I came back and I'm walking out, and the amateurs are walking in still sweating. And I'm like, "You guys work out again?" They're like, "Dude, we just finished working out with Diego Sanchez. He would not let us leave." I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's why I left." I found out, last hour, I was like, "Nope, I'm good." And literally, Diego just changed his shirt and shorts and went back to the next practice. Like, that's how like crazy he is. So anytime he invited you to work out, you're like, I got stuff to do. Yeah, that's a no. So he's just one of those guys that is a super hard worker, but sometimes too hard for all of us.
I love it, man. What's your favorite video game of all time?
Ooh, favorite video game all the time. I think for me, I was obsessed with Halo growing up. So Halo 3 was probably my favorite. So real quick story. Now, I used to be extremely good at Halo. Like Halo was that was just my bread and butter. And I back in the day before all these like rankings came out with Call of Duty and all these other different games, Halo actually had a legit ranking system to where if you won, you ranked up as a number. If you lost, your number went down. And that's just how it was. And I remember being ranked in the world. I think I was top 200 in the world. I was like, "Yo, this is the Halo 3 was the most popular game back in the day." So I was like, "Man, I'm legit. Like I'm getting up there, this, that." And every time I played, it was extremely difficult. Now, my dad loved Halo. So anytime I went to school, he would go downstairs and play Halo as well, but he would play on social player. So it could just be regular gameplay and everyone's around, the same experience. Ranked play, if you jumped on my remote, like, dude, you're gonna die in a couple seconds. Like it was legit. My dad also couldn't read. So anytime I finished ranked play, I'd have to make sure to back out and put it to social play. So because he would just know the controls just to get online. He's like, "All right, cool. Press A to start the game. Press A to go to social play or online. Go to this section, then press A to start." And then it would just load his games and it would just go on repeat. One day I come back home and he's like, "Man," I was like, "Why are you so upset?" He's like, "Man, these guys were glitching, they were hacking us. Man, these guys are still good, blah blah." Because he would just spawn and die. And I'm just like, "Man, you really just got beat up today in Halo." And I remember going back on my game, and my number was so low, and I was just like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, "Dude, what? This is hours and days, of playing this
Mm.
game to get to that level." And I'm just like, what happened?" And I remember it, repeating in my head that he's like, yeah, these guys are so good, this, that. And I see my rank, dude, it was so low that like I was back in the millions. Like I was back in the millions
Oh,
rank. Like that, my dad was so committed to playing. He's like, oh, don't worry, the next game will be better. He just kept losing and losing and losing and losing. That I ended up being in the millions. And at that point, I stopped playing Halo. I was like, and I'm done. And that's it. I just switched to the social play for him. And I was like, and I'm out of here. No more ever playing Halo again because I couldn't get committed. It was like writing a 10, 100-page paper and then somehow a fire hits and just the paper burns.
yes. Yeah, man, that's crazy. Before I let you go, if you want to shout out any social media, any merchandise, anything, where can the people find you? Where can the people buy your shirts?
Well, sadly, my shirts are all out of stock now because I do like monthly runs, if you buy in a
Mm,
month. But I am hopefully doing a collab T-shirt with Curtis Blades coming up very soon. A homie from Chicago that I kind of came
yeah.
up with. And so that's going to be coming out very, very soon. So I'm very excited for that. But if people want to follow me on social media, Jose Shorty Torres on Instagram. I believe the Shorty Torres MMA on both Twitter and Facebook. I have my own foundation called the Team Shorty Foundation. If anyone wants to donate, 100% of the proceeds go to kids, teens, and young adults to stay inside the gym and off the streets. I sponsor fighting to do a lot of things like that. So teamshorty.com/foundation if people want to donate. And man, everyone just helped me out. I wouldn't be here today without anyone's help and support. That's why I always do say we can do well together. We are Team Shorty, and it's been a lot of fun. Shout out to Nkosi to being able to come on back and do his thing after to him such a close loss, and we see if he shows up again. If he doesn't show up, then all right, cool. If he shows up and it's a tougher fight, well, the better me comes out. So I'm really excited for that. Hopefully, whatever talk he is, talking about or saying, he can prove it in the cage because he didn't do it the first time. So I'm just excited to put on a show, especially in front of Sheikh Khalid and everyone a part of Cage KMMA in Bahrain. And I'm trying to think, is there any hi mom? And that's about it.
I love it, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us here and have a great day.
I appreciate it, man. You too, brother.